and welcome to. Santo got knocked. That's what happened there. Anyway, welcome to Syncretism, the Santo Bonacci. A couple hours of having some fun. You're there. You're back there, Santo.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Kate.
All right.
No worries. And
must be a delay.
Yeah, there is. I've got Tony and Peter. Everyone's hot on the board now.
Too good. How are you guys?
Hello.
Hi, Peter. Hi, Santo.
Hey, Tony.
How's it going?
Woo! I'm great. How's everyone? Awesome?
Yeah, Kate. Yeah, how you doing? What the hell?
It's still kicking at the can. That's the long and short of it.
Oh, I'll tell you. Yeah, I thought I was going to get a break over the weekend. It never happens. It's like today's been the busiest day I've seen in a little bit. Everybody's beating the brakes off. But it's all right. We're bringing it forward. This has been a very, very huge disclosure week on multiple levels of bringing some continuity of flow on multiple levels.
Beautiful.
So maybe we'll get a little time to talk about some of it. I think I got the onion peeled back to the core now. Found out it was dead rotten in the middle, too. You gotta love it.
Too good. And Tony, yourself?
Yeah, flat out doing, crikey, figuring stuff out, making it all work, and trying to survive in the process, which is the biggest problem of all. But we've all got the same, issue. So yeah, it's all going good. Many revelations, but yeah, cool.
Beautiful. And Kate?
Well, you know me, everything's great. No, it's fine. I'm good. I do a little, touring of Venice and stuff like that, and seeing about St. Mark and Santa Claus and candy canes and X the spot and St. Mark's the spot, stuff like that.
Yeah, you got to wonder what those Venetians are getting up to in that on that little island of water there, where they think that they can rule the world and do all that stuff, insure the world. All insurance runs out of Venice, all of it. There's no insurance not underwritten by Venice. That little bit of land that is owned by some very, very rich people that have been profiting from their insurance scams for probably the better part of 600 years now, 700, 800.
Yeah,
more.
And that's kind of what I was getting at with regards to Venice and all of my trails that I've been working on with a few people. And it's let's put it this way: if anything you have is in Venice, you're lost at sea. That's just a hint.
Yeah, that's a big hint. That's a really, really big hint.
Just a little one.
Yeah, because when Judgment Day comes, and it's coming real quick, I don't know about how safe you're going to be on that island, in terms of not going to jail, guillotines, perhaps electric chairs, etc. I mean, not that I wish that stuff, but that stuff kind of happens, Nuremberg, when you do some naughty things, you tend to get yourself judged by justice, which comes eventually.
Well, that's the thing, and I will say that this is all about going to peace, and there are greater powers than you think there are walking this beautiful little orb, and that's their job to take care of taking the garbage out, and your job is to find peace, and if you can find peace, you're 99.999% of the way home. Got the other 0.0001. Promise.
Yep.
Yeah, excellent. And one way to do so, folks, is to get rid of the negatives in your life in terms of parasitic entities. I'm having to do that more and more as the day gets near. But there's always a parasite or two, and in particular, you might be carrying some files on your computer that may have some viruses in them. In terms of bad memories, we tend to live in the past sometimes. The past is gone. And what is potentially dragging us back, extra luggage that we may be carrying from the past, will not be of service to us as we go forward toward the 21st of December. Because some of these files may need to be deleted. You know, for instance, sad stories, loser stories, oh, I can't succeed stories. We carry these files and we repeat them and play them over in our heads over and over again. But if they're not there, if they've gone missing, you can't replay them. And so they can't drag you down, etc. But I find that a lot of people that are struggling with this tend to whinge and whine because they're carrying a lot of old files. Hit the delete button, guys. You're going to need it because all that luggage is going to be useless to you in the days coming.
Yeah, that's getting through the eye of the needle, and I can't stress it more now than ever before. You want to carry drama around. You want to carry the negatives. Oh, woe is me, and the rest of the children in the playground stories pouting and. Hey, listen, Santa Claus is coming to town, and he's checking his list, and he's checking it twice. That's the long and short of it. And he's going to know who's naughty and nice, right? He knows when you're sleeping, and he knows when you're awake. And you might want to have a look at, just if you want some clues to this, you might want to look for the Santa Claus hat on Venice coat of arms and on the United States Senate logo. You might want to look, you might just want to look at that.
Yep.
Yeah, fantastic. Great little hint. Point people in the right direction without saying too much.
That's exactly how to stay in peace. We can't have a war between the private and the public. So find some peace. If not, you'll get your ass handed to you, I promise.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
It might be a little too cryptic tonight, guys, or shall I just, be more cryptic? Seriously, have a look around. They're calling your ships home, guys. If you can see it, I've probably given out as much as I'm willing to give out.
Yeah. Well, the system. I mean, these guys believe that they are serving God, even though it's their God. The crown has a God. It is a God. It's a false God nonetheless. A very false God, but it is their God. And as insane as they are at the top, they still follow the rules of their God. And they have provided, there is a provision for us to return to dry land and return to the land of the sane, because they have written us off as insane and lost at sea. But we do have the means by which we can return to dry land. And I believe in my heart of hearts that they would want nothing more than for us to return to our full potential and full power by reclaiming our stature in this system, so that they don't have to be the abusers of us as they are, because they know that there's the law of karma. And they know that they have been reaping heaps of bad karma on themselves with their actions. But they're addicted to, they're addicted to the power that comes from it, and living it up now. So I guess it's like those serial killers. You've seen those films where the serial killers leave a lot of hints behind because they want to be caught, because they're sick of killing. They've enjoyed it for a good while, but then it's boring. They've killed 40 people, and so they start leaving hints, and the hints get really, really more and more obvious until such time as they are found out. And then when they are found out, they give themselves up willingly, and they're happier to do the time, because they've done their stint of evil. And I don't think there's any serial killer who's ever not been subject to this law of handing themselves in after a certain amount of time. So, you know, Kate, these trails that you're on, and I know they're really good ones because you've shared them with me. You know, they've been sort of hiding in the open for a while now, in plain sight.
A little too obvious, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you see what I see? Yeah, I love Christmas. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa, what's that? Santa Claustrum? What is that again, Santo?
Yeah, this the holy claustrum in the middle of the cerebrum, which produces the fluid, where Santa Claus comes from, the North Pole. The Santa Claustrum.
Yep.
The holy room. And he's going to come a little early this year, is he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think he's bringing some coal this year.
Yeah, we're going to need it.
Yeah, right.
What you guys are talking of tonight?
Well, I think we're all in deep, concerted thought. We're going into introspection tonight, I think.
Exactly. Everything's getting all on that cryptic side, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just getting food for thought. Just like on the bag of chips where it says tear across dotted line. Oh, hey, I got an idea. Let's say you're driving down the road, and what does the solid line mean?
Do not cross.
That's right.
Do not pass. What does the dotted line on the road mean?
You pass, but be careful.
Perfect. So what do you think a dotted line on a contract might mean?
You can pass, but be careful. That's why you need to put it in the damn red box, so we can make sure it's non-negotiable.
Exactly. It's a pass-through to private.
Yep.
So what we're trying to say is all of these lines mean things. The point is, do you understand what they mean?
Right.
And what do they mean?
Well, we're...
Too much fun. We have a car I can bring on if you want.
Sure. Yeah, they can't be bitching about my $120, though.
Nah. People will do it if they want, Peter. No big deal. They'll see the value. They won't. Area code 817-323. Your mic is hot. Have you got a question or comment?
Oh, my mic is hot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there you are. Your mic is hot. Do you have a question or comment?
No, I didn't. I didn't even know I pressed 1, so I apologize.
You didn't. No, I just see. That's the thing with this board. I don't always see whatever comes up, so I just like to make sure I talk with everyone. See, now you're part of the show. Woohoo! I'll put you back on hold.
All right.
All right, there you go, guys.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I suppose we can talk about the next few weeks and what's coming down the line. I've been sharing with people a lot of the Mayan videos and presentations dealing with the big upload of consciousness that's coming. So I'd be deleting those files that I was talking about before. Very, very important to prepare oneself, alkalize the body, and possibly do a lot of meditating because the meaning of our lives and the meaning of all our past lives will be restored to us in a matter of minutes as the sun transits the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And you can see it as it's charging along, and it will be perfectly in the middle of Sagittarius and Scorpio in the next few weeks, and that will signal the end of a great cycle of necessity. It'll be the 0 point of many, many cycles, not just the precession, but we have been told by all the prophecies. There's not a prophecy that disagrees with what's coming, and what's coming is an upload of great, intense information which will restore us to our higher consciousness and to our higher being. Unfortunately, many people will not be participating because of their ignorance and because of their not participating and being awake in the consciousness movement and being asleep. It's very, very sad, but let's hope that what comes is not going to be too cruel to them, because they've been caught by all the deception that's been laid before them by churches, institutions, organisations which profess to help but which are really there for their own interests. And unfortunately people flock to these in their droves. They flock to them. I was driving past the church quarter of our neighbourhood the other day. I think there's the Baptists and the Seventh-day Adventists are all there. The Jehovah's Witnesses are there, and their car parks are full. I don't know what the pedophile priests inside those organisations are talking about in there, but a lot of people go to those churches. But one thing I can guarantee you is that those organisations are protectors of pedophilia. That's all they stand for. That's all that's left. It's the only haven for pedophiles left on this planet is the Christian churches. Nowhere else can they flee and be protected in such a wonderful way as they are. Smooth protecting machine that the churches are these days. Very slick. Very, very slick. And it just breaks my heart. I recognised a few of the cars as I drove past the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I thought to myself, have they ever really done any investigation? Because if they did the slightest of investigations, they would find, when you punch in the words Jehovah's Witnesses on the internet, first thing you see is an organisation which is called silentlambs.org. And in there, ex-members of the Jehovah's Witnesses who had plenty of evidence and saw what was going on there have delivered the photographs of people that have been caught and been protected in that organisation. Photographs, real photographs, where you can see the faces of the pedophiles, creepy-looking people. And so I don't understand how those churches are still pulling in the numbers. It's pretty incredible how much the power the sorcerers have, and they will have till the very, very last moment. Very, very sad, folks. Very sad to see. It's quite heartbreaking, actually. Have you noticed that, guys, in your neighbourhood?
Yep.
Well, there's definitely the awareness is coming up. I forget the gentleman that I use the term loosely only because I'm polite. Anyway, I'll dig it up during the show, but someone that was connected to Jimmy Seville, a known pedophile and probably, well, child murderer, no question. Knighted no less because, well, they like to knight their best players. But yeah, staying on the more positive side of things. You're right, Santos. Serial killers and criminals that have the intent they do want to get caught because they can't stop themselves. They want someone to stop them, and that's a cry for help. You know, that's what the clues are that have been left behind. And again, they're just very debased children that have really no sense of who and what they are left and are to be pitied, not hated. We can't hate ourselves because, I mean, we're all connected. We're all part of the same beautiful universe. If you hate one part of it, well, that just breeds more of the same problem. I think we're all grown-up children now, you know, where that stops and people can finally, and it's happening more and more. I see it more and more every day where people are finally reaching out to their fellow man, and the awakening is here. It is beautiful, and you're right. With this download upgrade that we're going to be passing through, you will get a moment in side look at yourself and and what the real meanings are. And those that have much baggage and criminal past or whatever, there are no secrets in this universe. You need to know that. There are none. It will be laid bare for all to see. And hey, we're all one, right? So it kind of makes sense that way. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the darker side of our own nature that is being dealt with, and we have to deal with it by exposing it within ourselves, and it's quite painful because it hurts. It hurts to see that we're living on the same planet with a part of us that enjoys destroying and is destructive. So that's why these conversations and these types of shows are crucial and essential, because we can discuss the subject of light and enlightenment, you see. It's very, very important. It's the way out of the darkness, to deal with the darkness and confront it and not be fearful of it anymore. You see, in days gone by, the power was so great that the Vatican had, that organizations that did come up to try and give people an alternative, like the Albigenses in the south of France and the Waldenses and the Socinians in Italy and all of these groups that came up, there's literally hundreds of them. The only ones that we hear a lot about are the ones that grew to an extent that threatened the oppressors, the Catholic powers, and then, of course, all of these organizations were squashed over, sometimes over hundreds of years. It took hundreds of years to eliminate the Waldenses. In fact, there were still Waldenses in the north of Italy at the turn of the century, the last century, that is. They were still really rigidly practicing, and they started in the 1200s with Pierre Vaudès in the south of France, who had to write to the Pope to ask for permission to preach. And he was granted permission as long as he didn't teach anything that was disapproving to the Catholic Church or was out of harmony with the teachings of the Catholic Church. And of course, Pierre was trying to bring enlightenment to the world, so he couldn't conform with that. And of course, the powers that be came upon him, and I think it was because of him alone that the concept of the Inquisition came about. I think the first Inquisition by Innocent III was to attack the Waldenses, the followers of Pierre Vaudès. So that's how it happened, you see. Enlightened groups struggled and tried, and then we had the Renaissance, of course, and that was beautiful. Hermetic wisdom came from the East. Hermes was translated by Marsilio Ficino, and there was a great tradition of enlightenment and people coming through with their wisdom and enlightenment. But of course, that was squashed again. But here we are. We're the same people, we're the same spirits and the same souls that passed through those days, and we're having another go. And it appears that the momentum that we are building at the moment is irresistible and leading to something quite big. And this time we have the cycles and the universe conspiring together with us to bring about the fruition of this. And we can rejoice that we are alive in this day, because it's quite likely that there will be very, very little bloodshed. We've seen a little bit of it. Oh yeah, we've seen people get hit and whacked. And the wars are still going on. They're still raging against the free nations. Libya was free, but they had to enslave it. Syria was, well, that's a different thing altogether, but at least it was an independent state which did not have the IMF and the World Bank. Now, of course, they're going to have to bend over and accept that bank. So it seems as though these entities are still continuing blindly and insanely trying to conquer the world, but they will fail. They will fail because more and more people are standing up and more nations are standing up. Look at countries like Bolivia that have told the corporations like Coca-Cola to get the hell out of there at the end of this year. And so they've been sent the message. Monsanto, many countries have barred Monsanto and stopped them from spreading their poisons in their countries. So there are good signs, folks. And this all comes as a result from enlightenment, not education. Education is the opposite force. It's the dark force.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's very critical that people find that. And I'm going to keep saying it until everyone gets it. You need to find that peaceful child within, the one that is playing nicely with the toy that they're very willing to share, and in return finds other children that have the same mentality, that are effectively all grown-up children, and grown up as much as they need to, because only with the indoctrinations have we all lost our child within to the degree that we have, And I was saying the other night, if you throw a box of crayons at a child, 2, 3, 4-year-old, big sheet of paper, come back a couple hours later, where do you see the create? You might even have your walls colored too, Cool.
Of course, little children think they're doing something really special when they're writing on the walls. It's a great creation to them. I've often used that analogy for the churches. Karl Marx once said, "The highway to hell is paved with good intentions." And you see many times the average churchgoer thinks that they're doing good things with their charities and what have you, and good works. But it's like a little child with a crayon, right, and with a whole bunch of crayons writing on the wall. They think they're actually doing a masterpiece until Mum comes along and discovers the mess and the damage. But this is how it works, folks. We don't want to be involved with organisations that are pretending to do good works. When I was busking or street performing in the city, which I did for 12 years, oftentimes groups of people would come through from corporations, and what they did was they were doing charity. I don't know how this works, but very often groups from various corporations would come through the city, and they had a whole list of things that they had to do. They were doing a charity run, and one of the things they had to do was get a photo with a busker. So many times in my performances, I was disturbed by these corporate groups that would run through the mall, panting, and then they'd stop. "Oh, excuse me, can we get a photo with you, please? We need a photo with a busker." And so I'd have to pose with these groups of people, and I'd often ask them, what are you doing? And they're just like, "Oh, this is our charity thing for work. We're doing a run or something, and we have to do all these certain things." And I'm thinking, these poor people getting involved in this rubbish for their corporations. They could be at home with their children, instructing them, enlightening their children, being with their families. And yet the corporations have all these ideas and charity runs and extracurriculum things to get involved with to make the corporation and their jobs more secure and a better place to be, and etc. Whereas in reality, those families, it's quite sad, really. They're so active in their charities and so convinced that they're doing a good thing. But quite the opposite is what they're doing. Like those little children with their crayons, they're doing more damage on this earth because the corporations that they support are just corpses and lifeless entities that continue to grow and continue to rape the earth. So hopefully the enlightenment will spread to these ones and they can see the folly of this. Oftentimes, too, I would see charities in the mall, you know, the Red Cross, for instance. The last time I checked, the Red Cross was the same word as Rothschild. And when I did my history and studied all the way back in the history of the Red Cross and found that it was founded by none other than the Rothschild family, and when I see them knocking on people's doors and people, you know, who are struggling to pay their rent, come out with $50 bills and $100 bills and put them in those little containers, and you don't really see a lot of help. Real help. You see some help. Oh, yeah, you do. You see some, because otherwise they wouldn't exist if there was no help at all. But you can rest assured that there's a lot of help in terms of helping themselves going on with those charities, folks. Best way to help poor...
A good way to check a charity, and I always mention this to people, check to see a nonprofit organization, look for their chief executive officer, and if you want to get a real good idea of who's helping who's helping themselves to the kitty, check out the annual salaries, which have to be public, of the CEOs for these charities. Red Cross is up there as one of the highest paid CEOs.
Yeah, well, it's just like the Susie G. Komen crap. That lady gets about $750,000 scarfing off the blood, sweat, and tears of the masses, donating to doing these goofy runs and Project Pink and all this other goofy crap. And they didn't realize that the chemicals, or the company backing the Susie G. Komen run, has actually created the chemicals that actually cause the breast cancer. And then they got them running down to get their boobs x-rayed every year and giving them radiation doses, which is another integral part of creating a cancer as well. So, hey, you know, but I mean, they've really duped the masses into buying this crap. You know, I know I posted a document on that, uncovering this whole scam. So that's all it is one big scam. Just like the cancer industry, that's one massive scam in and of itself. Every time you read their crap, we're still another 50 years out. They're going to be 50 years out till everybody's butt dies. I mean, you got to love it, because you are a money mark, and that's the function. So bring us your social number, bring us your digits, so we can draft you for performance, so we can make some money through the side room off your pain. No, we've had the technology, the capacity. Hey, it's openly available. On my site of all things. I'm going to be talking about this stuff. So, you know, because everybody's gone fast asleep, they don't really want to look at it. They actually believe these clowns in the white coats. I was one of those clowns in the white coats, and I got my mind right and removed myself from that garbage when I started seeing the truth. You know, and I've seen many, many people go to their deathbed over a lie. I got a friend I was dealing with on his cancer issue with his sister, and they actually she's sent home. She is sent home to handle her business accordingly, because they don't have anything else they can do. Well, yeah, they've already exhausted the vessel financially, as well as spiritually, morally, and physically. And now that we're done, yep, we've used up this vessel. Let's go to another one that we can draw some more off of. You know, folks, you better wake up. It's really a horrendous thing. When you find out the truth, it is a hard pill to swallow. I couldn't hardly believe it myself. It actually makes me really sick. But I can give you verifiable proof all day long. I like to follow the money trail. I'm the master at finding and following the money trail. That's all this is. The Red Cross, all these other so-called 5013C corporate entities who say they're doing good. You know, there's people that work for these organizations that have good intent in their heart, but they've been duped too, so they don't know. It's like the court system. You know, it's all compartmentalized, and nobody really looks beyond the pale. They actually buy off on the ideology without really investigating anything, so they believe what they're told. That's called the propaganda machine. It's one of the 10 steps of the Communist Manifesto, is to propagandize you until your butt falls off, so you have no, you know, fundamental thought processes to actually decipher between truth and fiction. And it's a sad state of affairs, and it really is ugly out there, folks. It really hurts my heart.
Yeah, well, you're right. It is a sad state of affairs. But again, we still have to go back to the fact that they're misguided children, and we're not going to solve anything beating a misguided child, and that's why I don't focus on the negative, because that's all that that which resist, this kind of thing. So with these guys, the time's coming. It's already here. They've if we're going into beautiful times right now, and get your heart right, and you'll be fine. So again, that's why when you have shills and trolls and stuff that show up, again, these are sad entities as well in the final death throes of trying to create ire and dissension and all the rest of it. I just have a really easy way of handling it. Especially in chat rooms and stuff, I just remove them. You can call me whatever you want. I don't care. Just don't call me late for supper or too early in the morning. Then I'm good. That's the thing, is I'm not going to let any of these guys get under my skin. I'm not going to let them bother me, because that's exactly what they're there to do. You're being tested, and every time you get mad, and every time you get frustrated and upset with things around you and your life and all the rest of it, that's just a mirror of the fight that you're putting out. And I got to tell you, over the last few weeks, I found a sense of peace and calm I never thought I'd ever find. And I could only wish that people would have the wish to have that as well. And all you got to do is instead of looking out to find something to blame or go after or this, that, and the other, and realize that everything that happens in your life is a net result of half the action is yours. If you were in a car accident, well, you were there, so it's not really an accident, is it? It's basically two physical objects trying to occupy the same space at the same time, and that's not a good choice on either party's part. So. We're going into a beautiful age where things, and don't be afraid of things going private, people, because I'll tell you this really, really simple thing. When something goes private doesn't mean to say it's going corporate. Actually, it's going completely the opposite, because what we're dealing with mostly now are fascist governments, oligarchies, and fascism, where that's corporations in bed with governments. And governments, as you know, are all corporations as well, so it's all corporation. And look what the public has done. Okay, look what the public sector has done to our world. It has mined it into scars so deep they'll take millennia to heal. They have poisoned our water. So I think, when you see things like, well, China's coming in and doing this, that, and the other, that's all that's fear porn, guys. The bottom line is things are going private. Roads are getting built that are private, and there's not a whole lot of cruisers can travel on a private road, if you know what I'm saying. So things are changing, and we've already won. And I have to keep, I don't know how much more bitching people need to do when I say that. We've already won. And I know that. This is not I wish. No, I know that. We've already won. We've already won.
Yeah. We've turned the worst corner. We have. We've absolutely turned it. And we can sense the win. We can sense the winning. It's much more clearer these days with all the people waking up. And let's hope it just spills to the ones that are still really firmly embedded in the system, that are still supporting it. Hopefully that will be dismantled in the next few weeks.
Yep.
Yeah. Anon 3800 in the chat room, was it? No, actually, no, it was Patrice made this comment. Yeah, several companies have been making very good moves in transferring the company over to the actual ownership of the employees, the workers, the company, and make it buzz. And I mean, a good example of that was Jaguar, the car manufacturer, bankruptcy. They decided to offer shares to all the employees, and it turned that company around. And that's exactly what's happening, company by company by company. And don't be afraid of privatization. You want to live in the private or in the public, and that's the clue that you need to see. And if you need to see proofs of people getting put in jail and all the rest of it, well, I would say raise your sights a little bit. If you're looking to have harm upon others, that's not a really good, for me, that's not a good targeting system. What I want to see, Bill Donahue did a beautiful, beautiful video. I can't remember what it's called, but he was talking about capital punishment and how useless it is, because you're not solving anything by killing the meat stick, because the being's still free. Instead of taking the time to nurture that being as the prodigal son child that it is, and that is part of our own consciousness, guys. And we just can't kill that off and be absolved of it. We have to take it back into our nurturing arm and start to heal it, I can get into all sorts of things in that one, but I'm choosing not to, dwell on anything that I've been through, because I got through it, and I can look back and say I love everything that has happened. I am so grateful for everything that has happened, good and bad. Everything was a lesson. Everything was a lesson, and that's what I took from it. And I just don't have time for adult egos. I mean, the egos can be a good thing, as if you have the analytical aspect of a child in the creation thing. But when you get into the adult ego aspect, you're basically, there's that 5-year-old child in the cereal aisle screaming and stomping and running all around because they don't get the cereal they want. So you have to decide whether you're going to stand peacefully, and if it doesn't work out that time, well, that's fine. It wasn't meant to be. I mean, I can look back at a lot of things that I wish hadn't, happened, but I'm also very grateful with what the lesson that came out of it. So in that same light, would I wish it upon someone else? The lesson and the knowledge, absolutely. But again, everyone's going to have to go through their own tests, their own trials. And when you come against something that I got tasered, and I got this, and I got put in jail, and I got, yeah, you were being tested. How did you handle it? And if you're seeking vengeance, it's very simple. Love thine enemies. Love thine no vengeance. And while that sounds so contrary to the adult ego of revenge, and you punch me, I'm going to punch you, and yeah, I'm as guilty as everyone else for that one. Not anymore, though. I see things a little differently these days. It's a much clearer picture.
Well, that's true wisdom, Kate, and hats off to you, because for what you've gone through, and I know, I was watching it all, I saw it all in the last year, and to come out the other side speaking like that is absolutely inspiring and very, very encouraging, and I just thank you for being my friend for the last year and a half or so. That's wonderful.
Oh, the honor is absolutely shared. The wisdom I've garnered from you, Peter, Tony, everyone I've ever come into contact with, and don't ever discount. I'm speaking to anyone that I've ever talked to. Don't ever discount how important you were to me and are to me, because I had an interaction with you for a very specific reason. It was up to me, no one else. It was up to me to see that reason, and that's what I seek now. I only seek the reason as to why someone has just entered my realm of influence, and why they're there. What are they there to teach me, and what am I there to teach them? When you can take the role of student and teacher equally in both who you're talking to and yourself, that you are the teacher to this other being as much as you are the student to the other being as well. That is the balance out of good and evil, right and wrong, up and down. That's when you get the Baal lance. Then you've got your spear of destiny. That's when you can move your path forward. And you just got to go down your tracks and get your blue sky back, baby.
Beautiful. Now that is very encouraging, folks. I hope you appreciate that, because that is how we can surmount all the negative, delete the useless files, the bad memories, the loser stories, oh this and oh that. Doesn't serve you. There's only the eternal now. There's only the one eternal now. And that's what the wisdom of the word Israel teaches. Isis, Ra, and El. Isis is the eternal now, forever. She always is, and we also always are. And this is why Moses says to the burning bush, who shall I say sent me? And the bush says, I am. Because the lesson there is that everything is I am. There is nothing I was or I will be. It's all I am. And we all participate in that. We all participate in Isis, to be. Being. And if we can focus on that, the corporate world, the Roman linear world, with its calendar and all its tricky little languages and stuff, and its kingdom of ideas, capitalism, etc., democracy, all those rotten ideas that are about to be put in the wastebasket, they've never served us, and they've always pulled us into the past. It's always it's always pulled us back into the past. Oh, we could have had more money. Oh, we might have more money if we have more jobs, instead of just being. And our children have suffered because we've left them at home and gone to do our 3 jobs a week. And our families have suffered, and our friends, because we've been pulled this way and that way, every which way but from our being. And what's going to happen at the end of this year is a big lesson, and it's going to teach us that we should have been being all the time and not doing. And that's the big lesson that's coming down. So enjoy it. It's all positive. There's no negative coming. It's all positive. Our sun will be illuminating us from a much brighter perspective. It will upgrade our consciousnesses, our DNA. The solar system will be upgraded. Everything's going to be upgraded. There's going to be a major, major upgrade shift. And we're here.
Hey, Santo, just a little, a word has popped up in the chat room for Freedom Reigns, and that word is underground. Now, we can look at it from a physical perspective or from an ethereal perspective. For me, in the physical, of course, it's, dig a hole and go hide, right? From the ethereal, I see that as a lower part of our consciousness seeking to bury itself. And I'm afraid that's not going to happen anymore. For the ones that seek the underground, whatever they want to call it, what they're doing is they're manifesting in the physical that which they are in the ethereal. And it's time for everyone to come home. There will be no more hiding. There will be no more running. This is our grand awakening. Everyone that's listening right now and everyone that is on this planet is here for the for the ride of their lives. And this was not an easy game, this place. This is the divine knowledge of the universe. This is the Alamo, baby. And, as Boris put it the other night, we've already had 21 runs at it. This is our 22nd time through. We got through this time. And that's a big hats off for all aspects of me, as in you, as I am part of you, as you're part of me, out there for raising the vibration enough and holding it. See, it's not so much that, how many people do you run across onto that, they're up one day and down the next, right? It's not a matter of how, bright and high you can vibrate. People will argue, well, it's not about vibration because, I forget who was talking about this, about raising your vibration. Well, here's the thing. If you ever look at a vibration, the higher it goes, the more flatline it gets, right? It's when you're at the low vibration that you're doing that high, low thing, right? That's why the equator is a straight line, and that's why we have the sine wave spiral going up and down, up and down. What we're trying to do is resonate that into the center flat line, which you can call it, in the hospital they call it body death. But let's put it in the mirror. If it's body death, then it must be spiritual birth. So, I can go all different ways. I can take the word, bust it up. You got undur, which is ungod. Dur is German for the theos, right? Ground. I'll have a look at the word later, letter by letter, and just see what kind of sentence I can pull out of it. But it's, I see it more from the ethereal, that the parts of our consciousness that seek to run and hide cannot hide anymore. What do you think, guys?
Yeah. Can't hide. No more hiding. We've been hiding for a long time, hiding behind our own greed, really. It's our own doing, really, that has caused where we are today. We can partially blame ourselves. We've participated in it because we've wanted all the little goodies from the system. We've believed in ownership. We've believed in the lies, and we still partially do. It takes a lot to eliminate all the lies. You can easily get caught from one day to another with some of the lies, because I'll tell you what, they're pretty clever, the salesmen and the priests that promise this and promise that, and they still are entrapping free and gullible souls. Now, souls are free. Why are they doing this, Why are they still participating in it? Obviously, they're not awake, but it just reflects on some of the darker aspects of our own nature. But as we grow, as we grow and we accept responsibility for the enlightening process taking over our lives and the raising of our own consciousness from the lower to the higher brain and from the lower to the higher mind, as we do this, everything else shifts. We are very powerful. And if we see on the secular plane troubles and things not being in harmony with our change, that means we just need to keep lifting and progressing in our change, because it will reflect on the secular plane one day as we perfect it internally. And we've got a long way to go, but we've done a long, long mile, and we've really done some progress. We've really done some damage, so to speak, in terms of bringing the enlightenment back.
Yeah, we finally got on Jacob's ladder. You know, that first rung we've been kind of knocking our chin on every time. So here we are. Finally, we made it to the first rung, and that's how I see it. Oh, I did want to bring something else up. Kesha rather, is I think they're letting loose that information to the world in, I think, 12 days. Does anyone have any information on that?
I did an Italian interview, about 2 weeks ago, together with Keshi. And he did the first half hour, I did the last half hour, but it was a station in Italy who are really, really interested in what you and Kate and Pete are uncovering. These folks are in Florence, and they are really, really interested in the progress that we are making with the revelations that we're coming upon. So they want to work with us tightly. And Keshi has had the founder of Keshi has had quite a bit of blocking in the last couple of months, and he said that. He mentioned that in the interview as I was listening in, where he said that it's sometimes he has to not tell people where he's going, because otherwise he gets blocked by the local governments. But he is making progress. He's been in Italy for the last couple of weeks, and he's done a lot of presentations in Florence, and he's got his chin up and hopeful, and he knows that very, very soon his technology will be fully available to mankind. He's a very confident man. He's getting a lot of blocking, though.
Yeah, well, aren't we all? And again, this is the death knell of those that, you know, would be powers, that all they can do is try to distract us, get us in fear, get us in anger, get us separated from that pure creation force called love. And you know, and here we are coming into this beautiful time of year, regardless of what people think in terms of, you know, religion and ceremonies and all the rest of it. One of the things that can be said about this time of year, you know, people get a better energy about them if they would just stop with the panic of the shopping nonsense and just be grateful to have the family around them. And this, I think, will be the very first year that I won't have any family around me. So that would be my wish.
I think this is going to be Christmas of all Christmases.
I think so too.
Yeah, this is going to be the big, big, big one. This is going to be beautiful and exquisite, and we can look forward to it, folks. And even if there is some kind of cataclysm, there is nothing in this universe, in terms of destruction, which is for the harm of anyone. Always this universe destroys to transform and make better. And you can see that. You can see that in the fact that we only live for a handful of years, really. We only live for a very, very short time in this body, that we've inherited on this planet. And we can see how the body grows from a young child and then slowly deteriorates after the 50s and the 60s, and then people tend to die around 70, 80, 90 or whatever. And that is the dissolution of one body, kindly. That's all it is. It's just, we have been taught and trained to fear death. We really have. First thing that must be eliminated is the fear of death. It doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. It never happens. It's just energy changing. It's nature. That's all it is. And we really have to come to terms with that first and foremostly. And one way to do that is to really have great meditation skills. And if you're not very good at meditation, I mean, I'm not recommending entheogens. I've taken many entheogens, and I thank the universe for the entheogens that I've taken, because if I did not have my shamanic experiences, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I wouldn't know that there is nothing to fear about when it comes to death. I suppose I'm not the greatest meditating type in the world. So, you know, the entheogens have helped me enormously in that respect. But I'm not recommending it to one and all, because one needs to really, really prepare their whole lives for that experience. But in the best form of getting to know that there is no death, the best way of knowing who you are, that you are eternal and immortal, is to participate in some good meditation. And that might be just take your shoes off, go for a walk in nature, touch the trees, touch the grass, smell things, and just lose all those loser stories. Lose them. And just be at one with nature. And that's the best way to meditate. Turn the TV off. In fact, get rid of the TV. It's useless.
Lose the drama. Seriously. That's all I can say is, you know, I get it a lot. And I deal with a lot of people on a daily basis. And it's always very, very refreshing when I talk with people that have absolutely gotten rid of the drama. It's straight to the point. What are we talking about? What do we need to do? What's our direction? Can you grasp this? Are we gay? And then, woohoo, we're all good, right? And then there's others that have to, you know, go through the whole drama of what happened that morning or that last week, and then they go through once they've done it. Yeah, okay, I get it. I totally get it. I'm not discounting, and I certainly want to know a bit about you. You know, it's when people get that's all they focus on, because somehow that's the only game they have is drama, and they've lost their own sense of purpose. And speaking of purpose, I'd love for you to enlighten everyone, Santo, on December 3rd, which is tomorrow, and the lineups that will be occurring.
Yeah, you're talking about Mercury, Venus, and Saturn?
That's the one.
Yeah. Well, Mercury, Venus, and Saturn is pretty important tomorrow, and will be all the way till the 18th of December. Because that alignment, it doesn't really directly affect this Earth, this planet, but it affects the solar system. It is an alignment, and it'll culminate in another Venus transit, but not for us. We won't see it. The people on Saturn will. Yeah. The folks on Saturn are going to see a Venus transit on the 18th, I believe, or the 21st, but I'm not sure now. I have to research that a little bit better, but definitely in the next 3 weeks there will be a Venus transit for Saturn, and there will be an alignment of Mercury, Venus, and Saturn, which is very, very powerful for the solar system. There will be a flare or two. Expect some solar flares, because any alignments like that, what they do is they make a channel, like an axial channel, where the sun's magnetic field can sort of latch onto, and you'll find that it's probably going to cause one of the biggest solar flares in history, pretty much like the 2003 solar flare. But this alignment is also going to be visible on the Giza Plateau, and the configuration of the alignment is exactly the same as the Giza Plateau pyramid configuration. So you've got your two big pyramids and the small pyramid that's a little bit sort of on an angle, skew-if. That's how the three planets are going to be visibly seen from Egypt, or anywhere around the world. But it's in particular, it's going to look very spectacular in Egypt because it will reflect as above, so below perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. And in this instance, Saturn will correspond to the little pyramid. Venus will correspond to the middle, tallest pyramid, the Kephren. And Mercury is going to correspond with the Great Pyramid, the Cheops, if I'm not wrong. I may be wrong, but that's is that the one you're talking about, Kate? Did I get?
That's that's exactly the one that I was referring to, and that lineup happens tomorrow. And it'll be close over the next coming days as well, but tomorrow is the perfect alignment with the three pyramids at Giza.
Yeah, and that alignment concerns Saturn more than anything. So just remember, Saturn is a very, very powerful magnetic planet in our solar system. It is very, very powerful, and many dark entities have been channeling and harvesting the energy of Saturn for their ill purposes for a long, long time now. But that doesn't mean to say that Saturn is evil. It's not. It's good and evil, like everything else that exists in the physical world. Saturn's just doing his job. And in the scriptures, Saturn is Abraham. Okay? Now, Abraham, remember, he's the old man. He is the father of Israel. He's always considered to be the Father Abraham, you know. Always the word father comes with Abraham. Well, that's because it's talking about old man Kronos, Saturn. And his cycle is 29 and a half days, exactly. In fact, it's 29 and a half years. In fact, it's 29.45. And that's equivalent to the number 911. Now, it's interesting to note, folks, that the moon shares exactly the same numbers, 29 and a half days. So the moon is Sarah and Saturn is Abraham. You see, this is why in the scriptures, in one scripture, Abraham refers to Sarah as his wife, and in another scripture he refers to Sarah as his sister. And this is because as the sun and the moon go around the zodiac, Abraham and Sarah, when the sun and the moon are in conjunction, which is a new moon, they are husband and wife. Conjunction is conjugal, marriage. But when the moon parts from her husband, Abraham, she becomes Abraham's sister as she's wandering around the other 11 signs. And so this is the wonderful fables that we have in our scriptures, folks. And old man Kronos, Abraham, he's going to be very, very significant in this period, in the next few weeks. His position is quite interesting. He's now currently in Scorpio, which is the red dragon. And of course, Satan is associated with Saturn. And so in Revelation, the red dragon and Satan, who wage war on the holy ones, this is all having to do with the as above and so below. So what it's talking about there is that big, big transformations from this position of Saturn in Scorpio are going to take place. Big transformation. And do we want to be a part of it? That's the question. I believe that all the listeners do. I really do. I believe that there are listeners who are so advanced in this game, and their souls are so old and they are so ready to go to the next place that they understand what's playing out in the heavens as above, and they know what's happening below. And then there are listeners who are just learning these things and are new to it and are coming into this knowledge, but are still very, very tired of this system and all its lies and its machinations. Rest assured that all of the suffering that we've gone through in all past lives and now have had their purpose. And they have transformed us so that we have arrived at this point where we are now, where we are. And we can use our beautiful intellectual faculties and our wisdom that we have gained over the suffering, and we can use it for good. And I'm sure that of the listeners that are very informed of this and know quite well what's going on, that we are in good company and that we are together a community of enlightened beings that will effect a great change on this planet. And we won't let the mistakes that we made in the past slip through our fingers. We won't let this opportunity slip through our fingers. This is a great opportunity. We need to stay alert and on guard. We need to protect ourselves. There are a lot of attacks. We are constantly being attacked by the negative elements in the universe that do not want us to ascend. Rest assured, folks, that you need to be on guard. I'd be burning white sage regularly, once a week in your homes. I'd be sprinkling pure salt in around the house, because those salt crystals, the nasties cannot tolerate those beautiful, clean salt crystals. And don't just go down to Safeway or Coles and get any brand. It's got to be sun-dried, natural sea salt. And then just grind it, put it in some water, put it in a sprinkler and sprinkle it over you if you have to. That's what I do. But burning sage...
Hey, Brother Santos, it's ironic that I just clicked on that about 30 seconds ago. Before you opened your mouth and said Celtic sea salt, and I'm actually posting it in a couple rooms.
Mm.
So, I guess brilliant minds think alike. I think I'm getting telepathic or something, brother. Before you pulled it out of your mouth, I had it in my head and I put it down on paper. That's bizarre.
Yeah, there's lots of things that we can do. Stay away from refined and processed foods. They are toxic. It's very important to eliminate toxins. The best way to eliminate toxins is to take your shoes off, stand on dirt, or walk on dirt.
Ground, that's right. Go to ground.
Yeah. The grass is good, but it's a different effect. It doesn't eliminate the toxins. There's a lot, and hold your tongue up against the roof of your mouth, and perhaps hold some of your fingers together onto your thumb, like your forefinger and thumb, or your middle fingers and thumb, or your ring fingers and thumb, but just alternate the fingers, but keep the mouth in the top of the tongue. Drink a lot of fresh water, get the toxins out of the body. Urine therapy is one of the best therapies for cleansing the body. I know this is contrary to how we would be thinking naturally, or not naturally, by the education of this world. People have been led to believe that urine is nasty and dirty, but it's not. It is the fountain of living water that comes from your own body, and it has many, many medicinal purposes. And I'd be looking into urine therapy. I would also be doing physical things without, all the garb, especially shoes in particular. Very, very important. And in general, just have intent and will and focus toward the day, because we're all in this together. We're all one. Separate individuals having an individual experience here on this plane, but on other planes we are all one. And so we're going to have to live with that and come to terms with that sooner or later, and help each other out by each one of us making small efforts. It's not big things that we have to do. It's not great and impossible tasks. It's not impossible to ascend. A lot of people get distracted and discouraged from because they try a little bit of meditation. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for them. They try a bit of this and a bit of that, and they get discouraged. rather than be discouraged, build or manufacture your own plan. Have your own way of ascending. Music. Never underestimate the power of good music. Vivaldi and Bach and all those beautiful Baroque masters. That would be the best kind of music to listen to. For me, classical music is a little bit too rowdy, but I love the Renaissance and Baroque music, Vivaldi and all of those guys. Very healing music, and music is the root word is associated with the word magic. So there's a lot of magic in music, very uplifting for the soul, and it actually vibrates all the beautiful chakras. Music is just imitating what the solar system is all about. The spheres that are emanating their own beautiful music. We can't hear it. We cannot hear the sound of Saturn or the Sun or Mars. We can't hear their beautiful sound. But rest assured, it is due to their sound that we exist. The sounds that emanate from those bodies. Without that, you cut that sound off that comes from those orbs, spinning ferociously through and flying at great speeds through the skies. Great speed. That sound that is reaching us is what's keeping our bodies in form and shape. It's all about cymatics. And so this is why music is also very, very important. So there's a few suggestions. There's many, many more. But one needs to tailor-make grab some of those items that suit you more and run with them and do those things. If you can't do the urine therapy, well and good. If you can't do the music because you don't like music, well and good. Take your shoes off, go for a walk, turn the television off. There's a lot we can do, and most importantly is to be aware of our brothers, this network and community that we have found and discovered through the internet. We need to be thankful for the internet whilst we have it, and I think it will endure for much, much longer because it's a great tool of enlightenment for many of us. And always to be mindful of our brothers and sisters around the world and know that as one we can pull through and create a better world. We will not fail.
Exactly. Just wanted to, you mentioned about the muses, or music and muses, and muse means to think in the literal etymological sense from Greek. And it's when you really start playing in the word games and the word trails and refining your angle or angelish, aka green language, that's where you become literally bilingual. We are speaking the language of angels again. It's been a very long time. The Tower of Babel, when they look at the word Babel, right? Babel on. They want you to babble on. Now, when it comes down to it, they speak of the separation of all the people were divided because they were building the Tower of Babel by their languages. One day they woke up and couldn't speak the same language. So for me, the real quest has always been to reunite all the languages, and that's what English does. I've referred to English many times as the bastard language, but what has happened, all the languages that got spread out from it, look at the languages having exploded, and now all those pieces have come back, because it is the pure truth language, and it is the one that you can corrupt the most as well. As Miranda pointed out, and you want to talk about someone that can do a lexigram, Miranda's the one. English is the only language that can do a lexigram, which has all the hidden meanings within, your name, for example, or just different sentences, right? I wanted to share a couple of things, if I may, with regards to some history. I want to drop a few more hints into people's universes to see if they can resonate with this, and hopefully they'll get the long and short of it. So, is that okay?
For sure, please.
All right, here we go. And something else too that I want to stress to people: stop looking at the system as they're the bad guys. Actually, there are some in it that are, but the vast majority are just sleepy people. But there are still many more that are fully awake, and they're trying to get us to bring our ships home. You have to remember there are referees from both sides of the coin here, right? Just keep the place civil, so we don't actually blow the whole planet up. That's kind of where we could have got to. Again, it's handing a 5-year-old a gas can and a book of matches just to see what happens on this planet. But anyway, here we go. They are trying to help us. They're trying to help us bring our ships home. And here it is. You can go back to Black's Law, and this is referring to star. If you look this up in Black's Law 9th edition, this is what your star contract or star covenant is. The historical aspect is it's a Jewish contract, especially for release of an obligation, that Richard I declared invalid unless it was placed in a lawful repository. And the largest being, of course, the King's Exchequer at Westminster. There's two others. We've already, kind of pointed towards one other place as well during the show. If you're paying attention, you'll know what I'm talking about. So it goes on to say this: it's well known before the banishment of the Jews under Edward I, Eddie Longshanks, William Wallace fame, that guy, their contracts and obligations were denominated in our ancient records, or referred to as stara or stars, from a corruption of the Hebrew word shatar, which is a covenant. And now these stars, or contracts, by ordinance of Richard I, were commanded to be enrolled and deposited into chests under 3 keys in certain places. One, and the most considerable, is the King's Exchequer at Westminster, which is actually in Downing Street, right next door to 10 Downing Street. What are the odds? Now, the room at the Exchequer was probably called the Star Chamber, and when the Jews were expelled from the kingdom, it was applied to the use of the King's Council when sitting in their judicial capacity. So that would be the King's Council would be sitting in the Star Chamber, if you will. Okay, so I just want to see how much more I want to let go here. Again, it's about keeping peace between the private and the public. We can't go to war with them, and they won't go to war with us. A couple of key things that I wanted to bring up. There was a reference you might want to look up. It's Clausula Rebus Sextantibus, which in public international law, it means for things thus standing. It's the legal doctrine allowing for treaties to become inapplicable because of a fundamental change of circumstances. So it's essentially an escape clause that makes an exception to the general rule of pacta sunt servanda, which is promises must be kept, right? Now, because the doctrine poses a risk to the security of treaties, any and all treaties, as its scope is relatively, it's very unconfined, which it's wide open. It does require strict regulation as to the conditions in which it may be invoked. Now, the doctrine is part of a customary international law, but it's also provided for in the 1969 Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties under Article 62. And for those that know me, know that I'm a big fan of the Law of Nations. Just a finish-off note on that. All right, although it's clear that a fundamental change of circumstances might justify terminating or modifying a treaty, unilateral denunciation of a treaty is prohibited. A party does not have the right to denounce a treaty unilaterally. Well, effectively, what that means is, because it's found in the treaty and it does affect all, only those that find it can use it. So because I found something, I can't walk up and go, okay, well, that's going to work for everybody. But what I can do is solve the issue, which is on its way to being done, and pass along little hints for those that may be interested in finding peace and what have you. And on peace, here's a few hints as to how to go to peace. And I want to share these again tonight, Sandra, because we do get a lot of listeners. Every show we get a lot of listeners. But here's a couple of things. Stop using your birth dates, period. Okay, that's private. Very, very private. It was never meant to be public. That's a hint. The long form, known as your tracks, you got to lay them down. And as I've been saying many times, that's the long and short of it, right? Something else that most people may not be aware of, but a mute must be found not guilty. Silence is golden. And that's one of the reasons why a judge, in trying to protect someone, is saying, I cannot hear you, or I cannot hear this matter, because they know that if they do, they're incriminating someone who doesn't know that they're incriminating themselves. So they have to. There are very strict codes of honor within this. Okay, both sides, good, light and dark, good and evil. Right. And something else too. We've talked about boxing your signature and what have you. Yep, absolutely. Here's something else you probably never thought of. Never sign on a line. Always sign under it. It makes you the underwriter, right? Now, a dotted line is a pass-through to private, so you might want to check any documents you have that might have a dotted line on it, where something else has been, put in its place to, not be a dotted line. And something else, when an X is on a line, it denotes it as non-determined. So basically, and if you sign on a line that has an X on it, you've unilaterally given whoever you've given that signature to the right to absolutely anything they want to do with it. So beyond the UCC 3-419 accommodating party thing, boxed or not, it's still going to be used because that X is there, right? And remember what X is, right? X is the Greek letter for key. It's pronounced key, or in Chinese, because of the way it's spelled, you might say it chi, which means life. X marks the spot, Treasure Island, right? Now, here's just something, speaking of X's again. If you want to void a contract, say you get something in the mail, and I've covered this before with regards, I'll tell you why this is important to know. So everyone, you probably want to listen to this show and take some notes later, but here it is. In 1892, there was a British case, Henthorne versus Fraser, which summarized what I'm about to talk about as follows. It goes like this. Now, where the circumstances are such that it must have been within the contemplation of the parties that, according to the ordinary usages of mankind, the post might be used as a means of communicating the acceptance of an offer, the acceptance is complete as soon as it is posted. So here's the thing, when a credit company or collection agents, when they mail something, that contract is already deemed complete. And there's only one way you can destroy that contract, because it is a contract whether you want it or not until you do something. So I'm going to tell you what you need to do, because as of the Railway Act of 1873, all companies are subject to a post office, which means anyone or any company, any corporation, they're subject to this. All right? I don't care if it's someone who's still asleep at the switch and thinks that they're in all caps fiction, or a corporation regardless. So here's your remedy. If you want to avoid a contract that comes through the mail, what you need to do is place an X on the stamp, right? So that cancels out the postage, so there's no more money. Because we're all postmen. I've already said that. There's 7 billion postmen on the planet until you actually get your birth certificate home. And you can beat at the wall as long as you want. Until that happens, you're still operating under the guise of the short form. So place an X on the stamp, and then if you want to void the contract, then you write void through it. All right? And here's the hard part. So everyone pay attention. What you got to do with that unopened envelope with an X on the stamp with void written through it, you have to go and drop it back in a public mailbox, because all contracts come through the exchequer via the mailbox or universal postal unit. All right? And once you do that, what happens from there? Well, I guess you'll find out. Anyway, so that hopefully that's a little bit of helpful information.
Does return to sender need to be written on it too?
No, they're well versed in this stuff. There is I'm not going to get into detail. No, you don't have to do that.
Great.
I will answer some things, and there are other things that I'm not at liberty to answer. Not in public, anyway.
Beautiful. Wonderful tips, Kate. Wonderful tips. I've had quite a few people inquire about that since you mentioned that in the last few weeks, and a lot of people are actually going ahead and doing it. I know a lot of people have really physically done it, and I'm telling you, I've got tens and tens of inquiries about just that, about crossing the stamp and putting void through it. So it's getting out.
Yeah, so there's lots of neat little tips. Anything you want to jump on there, Peter?
Yeah, I like to have fun with her. I like to have fun. Yeah, I got something from the scumbags last week, and I said, "Oh, let's have some fun." Hey, I love it when they let me have fun because when I get their envelopes, it's got those black hash marks on the front, the barcodes, and I bust out my little black marker and I attach all those little lines together, so it basically incompletes their stupid-ass circuit, and then I get to write a couple things on it, because I like to share the love, and I put a big X through Peter Eugene Gotham, that fiction, and I put deceased above his head, because what I really want to start doing is writing, please send to the party you're looking for is at 55 Water Street, DTC, New York, because I'm sitting in a box over there, the dead entity. Anyways, but I don't do that. I just put deceased on him. Undeliverable as addressed, return to sender. I do it on front and back. And then I got a special lovely rubber stamp showing that I know about the estate. It's Peter Eugene Gotham Estate, and it's got some other special things on it with a private mailing location on it, so they can get their memos or their records completed, because all it is, folks, is an offer. Hey, if you open the offer, you accepted the prize. You don't want to look what's inside. There's nothing in there in the envelope that you want. But if you do not return it and you retain it, it's considered you're consummating the contract. You're keeping the ball in play. So I told my wife she doesn't have any capacity to answer anything from government, so I take care of it all. And, matter of fact, they were rolling on her, and then I said the crap back on her behalf, and now they're rolling on me. Now they're getting my memo. So, hey, it's fun. They just want to play with me, and I'm not coming out to play, so I terminate. So there's no gray areas on what capacity I'm operating in. So they're getting the memo. And if they want to deliver it to my door and get me to sign something on that capacity, no consent equals no contract, I'll put that in their sorry-ass signature line. That's how I deal with that. Very simple stuff, folks. Very simple. Undeliverable as addressed. Return to sender, front and back, and put a big X through your name, put it in red, and put deceased above it, and send it back. Hey, I can't retain crap for a fiction. Otherwise, they think that I'm that. And so this way, they can send me some more love letters, and we can have some fun. They can send them certified, because when I go down to the post office, they want to send anything certified. I don't accept crap. I'll go ahead and take care of it the way I take care of it down there, because nobody's going to make a legal determination for what I accept and what I don't. Only I can. So the man will stand in the breach and take care of it. That's simple. So, folks, if you're sick and tired of getting love letters, turn them back.
Yeah. And again, just there's certain things that happen when you do what I told you, what I suggested. Again, that I'm not at liberty to share, but it's fun. Just lose the fight, lose the war, go to peace. There are people out there that have specific jobs to do. Let them do them instead of trying to be the belligerent, So, yeah, definitely. And there was one comment. Patrice had made the comment, what do you do with this? Again, I never give advice. These are things that I do, right?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so the question was this. What do you do when they return to sender a certified letter from you? Well, I'm thinking that's one that's kind of cheeky, because if it's certified, obviously they must be afraid of it. But what I would do, as I wrote in the room, I said, let it go. Just the whole notion of any sort of fight and what have you, that you think you need to do something. Because you're a postman, and until the BC comes to shore, like your long form comes to shore, you're carrying the short form cargo. It's stuck to you like glue until you get rid of it.
Oh yeah, Kate, I did do one thing different with this one, as well as deleting the barcode, blacking it in so it had no continuity of flow. Because, a brother of mine shared with me, if you do not blacken out the barcode, what it does is it keeps it in the circuit, and they're going to send you some more crap. So you terminate the circuit, folks. Hey, we're electromagnetic. Everything, it always comes back to res, energy. So, discontinue the circuit by blackening out those stupid hash marks.
I was doing that 2 years ago. You want to keep it in the circuit. You want to keep it live because it's got to get somewhere. I just wanted to pass this along because I hadn't answered the question here. So here's what I'm saying to Patrice. This is what I do. You can do what you want. So here's what I would do.
Yep.
So I would X the stamp, They returned one. The RTS that came back to me, if I sent out certified, well, it was certified. It was required to be opened. There was a contract there. They didn't void it by Xing out the stamp, did they? Okay, so here's what I'd do. I'd X out the stamp. I'd write void through it like I would for something I didn't want a contract from. And then I'd drop it in a public mailbox and let the insiders, the inside postals, they know what to do with these things. See the fraud committed by the other party. There's no war there. And there might be a knock on someone's door and it ain't going to be yours.
Right. Hey, I also put one of my beautiful stamps on the back, non-denominational, of course, but one of my special stamps with my pass-through account. And yeah, one of my brothers has been field testing these stamps, and they get to Australia. These packages we send out get to Australia, and they're not even canceling the stamps. I guess the pass-through account is effective, and because believe me, if it was a postal fraud in any way, shape, or form, they'd be on your doorstep in 30 seconds. He's done 60 of these, so I've gotten stuff from him. I know people from Australia have gotten stuff from him. And we use our pass-through account because there's an unlimited pass-through account for everybody. It's them red digits on the back of that card. That's that SIN card. The public, the numbers on the front are the public, and the numbers on the back are private. Just little things we're not supposed to know.
Yeah, and like I said earlier in the show too, keep your eyes open for things, dotted lines that pass through to private, and solid lines.
That's a matter of fact, flat line indicates dead, does it not?
Yeah, a solid flat line. But again, I'm going right back to the fact that all the roads are canals in the EPU. That's why they have cruisers called cop cars. That's why you have a landing like they do in Venice, where they pull a boat up right to your door. That's why a cop car can pull right up to your landing, because they're a cruiser on the water that was put underwater by a benchmark. Look, there's that Mark word again, and bank, the Bank of Mark. St. Mark must be Venice. Because up here where I am, it's called Canada. But what I'm from Ireland, but yeah, Canada, eh? I'm from Ireland, so I'll pull off my Belfast brogue later. Anyway, we have all around. We have these little benchmarks on tiny little obelisks. They are the cutest little concrete obelisks. They have the benchmark on the side of them that are about 2 feet. This is my architectural background. That are about 2 feet above the ground. That's where they put the surveyor pole for referencing. But here's the problem: the sea level is taken from the benchmark, not from the ground. So effectively, as soon as what Clark and whatever that other wanker's name that did the survey of the U.S., as soon as they were done, Lewis and Clark, as soon as they were done doing the survey, that meant that the United States, as you thought it was now effectively under Phoenician water. So again, and of course, it's always about the obelisks, right? And up here, they're little obelisks. They're cute as all get out. All right, so that's when you understand that the whole planet is underwater, in the ethereal sense. This is how they get away with it. That's why you have to think about it in the as above, so below. And just a little phrase that you might want to get used to saying to yourself a lot is Terra cross dotted line, right? Terra, earth, cross, heaven, right? Terra, earth, or cross, Terra cross, dotted line.
Wow, I like that.
Terra cross dotted line, okay. And you open up and you get the treats. As soon as you understand what that means, then you get your own treat bag to open up, and that's another story for another day, and I'll never make it public, but I will definitely help those that are waking up to catch on to what I'm saying. It's critical info.
Beautiful. Fantastic, Kate. You've always discovered the best little things since the days of the Denique, eh?
Well, they just seem to show up on my desk, and I got proud to say I think I'm on day 6 or day 7 of urine therapy, and oh my God, you want to talk about neurons going off the grid? My sense of smell, I can smell a tap from 50 paces now. Instant coffee, which I didn't drink a lot, but I drank it. I can't even like it tastes like pure poison.
Yeah. Man, I stopped that about, I don't know, 1 million years ago.
Yeah, well, it's a keeping warm thing when I was in the tent kind of deal, right? So, but, yeah, it's just, My senses. I will recommend those if you are going to begin urine therapy and decide to reverse your aging and grow your hair back and get your skin perfect and grow your teeth back and all the rest of that kind of stuff. Instead of pissing your life away, you might want to start re-ingesting those most perfect golden fluids that have your stem cells in there. Plus, what your body does, because it goes through the balance of Libra, your kidneys. What it's doing is it's balancing out all the nutrients that your body needs, and it's also finding the things that your body really doesn't like and doesn't want, and it's creating the anti-venom. So that's what they mean by the hair of the dog that bit you. All right? So what you're doing is, if you're sick, then your body has already figured out what it needs, and you get to create your own medicine. You're your own life force. Basically, you're a walking distillery. Okay, you're distilling your own life, and it's the most perfect fluid, the only thing that was created and meant for you. And drink distilled water. It gets rid of all the mineral toxins and all the rest of it. You need to clean yourself out. And I got to tell you, it is beyond mind-blowing. It is beyond mind-blowing. And people are going, ooh, go for it, knock yourself out. You can't handle it? You got to be on this side of the fence to see the other side. And I was on the other side, and well, stay there if you want. I got lots of friends on this side, and they're all saying the same thing, and they're all living and experiencing the same thing. Energy levels, wide awake, alert, decalcifying your pineal maybe. You might be interested in that because you can do whatever you want for as long as you want, but I think after about 20 years old, you're pretty much calcified. And the only thing that's going to actually keep that pliable at all is if you're a musician or something where you're always in constant meditation, where you're exercising that third eye because you got your eyes shut most of the time and you're engulfed. Like someone who works at a potter's wheel is perfect because they're focused on one thing, and that is meditation. I don't know. There's so many more things. You want to get rid of the toxins of vaccines? There it is. You want to get rid of the toxins of fluoride? There it is. Your body will cancel it out for you. No fear, eh? Isn't that cool? You just take all the fear out of it. Nothing can hurt you that you cannot fix. All you got to do is drink your wee. Huh. Imagine that.
It's pretty simple, and it tastes great, too. Mine tastes like almonds.
Yeah,
I love almonds.
You're killing me.
Hey, doctor.
Yeah. Oh, well, I've read up on it and stuff. I'm just real busy.
That's okay.
Pete, what you want to do is, and for all the listeners that are reluctant, what you want to do is start off in the morning with drinking a few long glasses of clean, fresh water. And what happens then is you can forget about, the first, just to start off, you can forget about the first urine because it's not as white and clear as after you've put a few nice glasses of water through your body. And then that clear one is almost tasteless. It just has a little bit of an almond taste to it, and that's all. It's beautiful. It's got a great texture. It's exquisite. It's way better than water. And that will help you. It'll help you to start off because you'll be drinking the clearer stuff. And, you don't have to drink every single drop if you don't want. I save mine for my plants, for my good plants, like my Salvia divinorum plants. And what I do is I put a little bit in there for the plants and water them in the morning because they love it. They absolutely love it. I save a little bit for the shower because you can actually put some onto your skin, in your hair. You can rub it into your body. Just save it. Don't flush it down the loo, man, because then they go and treat it with chemicals and all that rubbish. Keep it natural, man. If anything, just, go for a wee in the backyard and let your plants be the beneficiaries. Don't wee directly on your plants, though. You need to water it down. But your garden will be immensely blessed by your own urine. And there's many other things you can do. It's great for healing cuts and abrasions and skin, imperfections. clears up the skin, wrinkles and stuff like that. It's good for that. And any poisons that are in your body will be eliminated. I mean, the fact that, if you get a snake bite and you... do you remember that interview I did with Andrew Norton Webber, Kate, where he says that it's an anti-venom?
Yeah, yeah, it was along those lines. I didn't hear the actual interview, but I caught wind of it, and that was funny you mention it, because I was talking to Tony one night there last week, and that before I'd actually heard that mentioned, that's what I was explaining to Tony. That there's the upload of the Akashic. If you want to be in connection with things, that's the perfect way to turn on your antennae. Yeah, that's what I was referring to, and it just hit me. It's like, well, it's the anti-venom, right? It's the snake bite venom, right?
Yeah, it is. So there it is. The proof is in the pudding. People have cured themselves from... My mother brought this to my attention many years ago when she said that not far from here, where we live in Melbourne, in the mountains, in the Dandenong Mountains, probably 10 minutes from where I live, there was a woman who wrote a book about urine therapy and how she cured herself from cancer. And that was many years ago, and that brought it to my attention then. Of course, I did nothing about it, thinking, oh, well, that's interesting. Not that I disbelieved it. I do believe what is believable. I do believe what is true. There's always a ring of truth to things that are true, even though at first it might hit you like a ton of bricks and it just shatters your paradigm. But the truth, it rings true, and how you know that is that you remember it. All the true things that I've struggled with that I heard first, I remembered them in my heart, and then one day I confirmed them with my own experience. So all of these strange things that you hear and you just immediately put up a barrier to, naturally, through education, of course, and all the filters that we've been given, we tend to reject those very truths, but we remember them, and it's in the remembering that the truth comes back. Because if you're a good-hearted person and you are consciously aware and growing in consciousness, you will remember the true things that were told to you by people many, many years ago, and then one day you will experience them yourself and confirm them. That's how it works. It actually works that way. You are introduced to new truths that shock you many times through life. And you're introduced for that very reason, to prepare you, to plant the seed, because you're not ready now. That's why you plant seeds, to get fruit months later with a lot of watering. And this is why people who care do share truths, even though they might be shocking at first. That's why if you know true things and people can benefit from them, never be ashamed of them. Always open your mouth and preach them from the rooftops, because they will be the beneficiaries of them one day. They might laugh at you at the time, which they do. A lot of people. I've been laughed at many, many times in my life. Oh, that's funny. What a crock. And then those people eventually are the beneficiaries, because they come back to you years later and tell you.
Yeah, when people laugh at me, Santo, you know what I think? Oh, shit, I must be onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't run with the masses. Same reason why I tell people, if the government tells you they're going to do something, expect the opposite. And if a bank says invest here, invest there. It's all mirror, and that's fine if people can't handle the notion of the manna that literally falls from heaven, which is the higher mind, via urine especially. By all means, yeah. I mean, you got the most perfect filters in the universe, the most perfectly balanced filters in the universe. Call your kidneys, and of course your liver. Get it? I don't care what anybody says. They can go all ethereal if they want. And I do, but that makes perfect sense to me. It's like, I made it. Must be okay for me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Great answer, Santos. Yeah, and just let it hang. That was beautiful. And you're right about the truth. Oh, it's so true. You know, all these little sayings that are coming back now and that are totally different meanings and you know, what were you saying about the 7 layers of truth? One of the shows you did there, I was on with you. That everything has 7 layers of truth in it.
Yeah. Well, all Holy Writ is considered holy if it contains 7 layers of meaning or interpretation, if you want to call it that. But all the Holy Scriptures, and the Bible is one of the best, because the gems that it's containing you will only find at the 7th level. The historical rendition is the lowest level, and that's for the foot soldiers, the churchgoers, etc., and they can never see the higher levels. But they are hiding from their sight because they don't have eyes to see and ears to hear. But all Holy Writ is written in 7 levels, no less.
Nothing more and nothing less. Gee, where have I heard that before? A little video. That's so funny. Anyway, yeah, it's... I'm just watching the chat room here, so it's going hell-bent for leather here. It's awesome. Urine, by the way, your wee is perfectly sterile. You know, if you're healthy or not, doesn't matter. It's still perfectly sterile because that's what your kidneys and liver do. They sterilize everything. But here's the thing. Instead of getting a flu vaccine, if you start feeling a little under the weather, if you had already started on urine therapy, you wouldn't be under the weather anyway. But let's just say you want a good excuse to start. There it is, because your body's already manufactured the anti-venom or the antibodies that are required. It's in your urine, and when you loop it, it's like you said salvia divinorum earlier. Like when you get salvia or whatever, it's like 10 times or 15 or 30 or 40 times. What they're talking about is how many times it has been distilled down into purity. And every time you, what we call loop to loop, or that's what I've seen it called, it works for me, loop to loop, you're only intensifying it more and more and more. Each time you put it through, 1, your body's not working as hard. 2, it's getting re-encoded information. 3, it's getting more and more intense every time. And it's getting purer and purer and purer. Like I love Miranda. She describes her wee as, well, it's like a nice Chablis. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that. I mean, I got to tell you, it took a bit for me to get past it, but it's if I do have a regret, I regret not having done it from a very young age, because I guarantee you. Oh, by the way, Tony, I'm not sure. I think you caught wind of this. One of the greatest secrets in Hollywood. People like Tom Hanks and whatever. They're all Madonna. They're all on urine therapy. That's why they look so bloody young without any operations.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they have the inside word. They know what's good for them. It's just that they have to promote the corporate line. You look at your Brad Pitts and your Angelina Jolies, they're all sort of, the UN is a nice organization and adopting children is good, because what we are subtly promoting is that children that go missing eventually get rounded up and put into good people's hands, which is a crock. That's all they're trying to do. By this new trend where Hollywood types are adopting children and promoting it, and people look up and go, that's a lovely thing, this adopting African children. What it does is it gives the people traffickers an excuse to, perhaps traffic a few kids and put them in the right hands, probably about 1%, and the other 90% they give to, your Vatican types that harvest them for sacrifices and pedophilia. So, so much for Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt and their nice, glossy, fluoride teeth, smiles, but they're just basically criminals participating in crime.
Oh, exactly. And just so you guys know, we're sitting at about 6 minutes left here, 6 minutes and 10 seconds. So just to give you a heads up, no worries, but I just want to let you know.
Yeah.
That's why you guys are so talkative. I say something and they go silent. Sorry, it's just something.
Well, hey,
let me. The other guys to talk away. I feel like I've been pretty greedy today, so.
That's all right. Hey, sometimes you can carry the ball. My Quaalude kicked in. It was all good. Anyways, well, hey, this Thursday on privatist.me, I'm going to be doing some red box overviews and informations and digging in on a deeper level to pretty much get people some more clarity on where I'm coming from with this and why I think it has total applicability, because it's all about the box and it's all about the contracts, and we're gonna go ahead and help them out on that end. So for anybody who's didn't get an invite to come over to privatist.me, yes, you can still get into the private. Those that are on the that are totally free, yes, you can still access the 4 portals for the education, because that's where it all starts. I want everybody to have access to that no matter what, because I always put excellent stuff in there, because everybody needs a starting point. So if anybody's interested who's already a member of privatist.me, if you haven't signed up, go sign up first, and then shoot me an email at petere4@yahoo.com if you'd like to join the party on Thursday. So, and I'll send you a memo, and if you have an interest further to get into the private side with the medical stuff as well that I cover on multiple levels, a plethora of excellent information that you won't get from the mainstream media, then then you want to get to that side of the house, because it's going to be education on a different level, and really can't digress on it here because it'll be lost on most. The ones that I find coming through the door actually have a lot more clarity of thought, so I think there's a lot more ready to come to that side. So I'm extending that. So privatist.me, privatis.me. Go sign up for the free part. And then when you get done with that, come back and send me an email at petere4@yahoo.com, and I'll send you a memo.
Okay, and just let Santo know, there's a caller here. I'm just going to bring him on in case they want a question or comment. We still got 3.5 minutes here. So caller, area code 713-878. You got a question or comment?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Hey, Santos, we're friends on Facebook. But my name is Pamela. I want you to know that I started actually doing urine therapy about 8 months ago. And I did it because I was going through, I felt like I was going through menopause, or my periods were getting all twisted up. And I called my brother. He's a neurologist, and I called him up, and we had a real long talk. But I started doing it, and it's excellent. I love it, and I'll never stop.
Yeah, good on you, Pamela. And I'll tell you, I get a lot of people writing to me telling me their experiences and how their lives have changed since they've gone on to urine therapy. It's absolutely, truly miraculous.
It is.
It's exquisite.
Yeah.
It is. It is. And I don't eat meat. Now, I actually had to change my diet and do a lot of, different things. And, it was just fascinating. And I love it. And like I said again, I absolutely have found it to actually work for me. It works for me. And I wouldn't stop it, and it's great. So, and it doesn't matter, like I said again, like you were talking about how white, fleshy, and there's no taste when I drink my pee. So, anyway.
Yeah.
But that's it, and I appreciate it, and I think you're phenomenal and fantastic, and I'm so glad that I found my way through all of this, and everything that I found came natural to me. I didn't go looking for any of this. It just actually all came natural. It was something already downloaded inside of me, something I already had known from somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but that's it, and I do it, and I think all women who are experiencing any type of menopausal period discomforts or anything like that, they absolutely need to go through the urine therapy. It absolutely works.
Yeah, for sure.
Works. So
well,
I wanted to say that if there's any women out there listening that are,
shit.
Going through it.
I hit the wrong button. I'm sorry. Shit. I'm sorry, Pamela. I cut you off there. It was a nervous twitch. I was looking at something else. Anyway, I'm sorry, hon. We got less than a minute left here. Anyway, shit. I hate when I do that. Santo, wrap it up. We got like 30 seconds here.
Yeah, well, I just want to add to what Pamela said. We are fabulous. We are fantastic. We are wonderful. That's what we are, folks. Love yourselves, love your brothers, and accept the beautiful consciousness and light that is coming. That's all I've got to say. Thanks, Kate. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Pete.
you.
Very good. Thank you, guys. It's been a great show.
You've been wonderful friends as always, and may you have many blessings. Till next week.
Yes, indeed. You've been listening to Syncretism Santos Bonacci. Pamela, I'm so sorry. I love you, hon. It was a total mistake, accident. Anyway, tune in 7 to 9 every night with Freedom Reigns. We got something for you. Much love to all. Take care and good night.
Very good.
Okay. Yeah, we're clear.
Off the air? Great.
Right? He knows when you're sleeping and he knows when you're awake. And you might want to have a look at, just if you want some clues to this, you might want to look for the Santa Claus hat on Venice coat of arms and on United States Senate logo. You might want to look, you might just want to look at that.
Yep.
Yeah, fantastic. Great little hint. Point people in the right direction without saying too much.
That's exactly how to stay in peace. We can't have a war between the private and the public. So find some peace. If not, you'll get your ass handed to you, I promise.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
It might be a little too cryptic tonight, guys, or should I just, be more cryptic? Seriously, have a look around. They're calling your ships home, guys. If you can see it, I've probably given out as much as I'm willing to give out.
Yeah. Well, the system. I mean, these guys believe that they are serving God, even though it's their God. The crown has a God. It is a God. It's a false God, nonetheless. A very false God, but it is their God. And as insane as they are at the top, they still follow the rules of their God. And they have provided, there is a provision for us to return to dry land and return to the land of the sane, because they have written us off as insane and lost at sea. But we do have the means by which we can return to dry land. And I believe in my heart of hearts that they would want nothing more than for us to return to our full potential and full power by reclaiming our stature in this system, so that they don't have to be the abusers of us as they are, because they know that there's the law of karma. And they know that they have been reaping heaps of bad karma on themselves with their actions. But they're addicted to, they're addicted to the power that comes from it, and living it up now. So I guess it's like those serial killers. You've seen those films where the serial killers leave a lot of hints behind because they want to be caught, because they're sick of killing. They've enjoyed it for a good while, but then it's boring. They've killed 40 people, and so they start leaving hints, and the hints get really, really more and more obvious until such time as they are found out. And then when they are found out, they give themselves up willingly, and they're happier to do the time, because they've done their stint of evil. And I don't think there's any serial killer who's ever not been subject to this law.
With regards to Venice and all of my trails that I've been working on with a few people, and Yeah, it's well, let's put it this way. If anything you have is in Venice, you're lost at sea. That's just a hint.
Yeah, that's a big hint. That's a really, really big hint.
Just a little one.
Yeah, because when Judgment Day comes, and it's coming real quick, I don't know about how safe you're going to be on that island, you know, in terms of not going to jail, guillotines, perhaps electric chairs, etc. I mean, not that I wish that stuff, but that stuff kind of happens, you know, Nuremberg, you know, when you do some naughty things, you tend to get yourself judged by justice, which comes eventually.
Well, that's the thing, and I will say that this is all about going to peace, and there are greater powers than you think there are walking this beautiful little orb, and that's their job to take care of taking the garbage out, and your job is to find peace, and if you can find peace, you're 99.999% of the way home. Got the other 0.0001.
Yep.
Yeah, excellent. And one way to do so, folks, is to get rid of the negatives in your life in terms of parasitic entities. I'm having to do that more and more as the day gets near. But there's always a parasite or two, and in particular, you know, you might be carrying some files on your computer that may have some viruses in them. In terms of bad memories, you know, we tend to live in the past sometimes. The past is gone. And what is potentially dragging us back, extra luggage that we may be carrying from the past, will not be of service to us as we go forward toward the 21st of December. Because some of these files may need to be deleted. You know, for instance, sad stories, loser stories, oh, I can't succeed stories. We carry these files and we repeat them and play them over in our heads over and over again. But if they're not there, if they've gone missing, you can't replay them. And so they can't drag you down, etc. But I find that a lot of people that are struggling with this tend to whinge and whine because they're carrying a lot of old files. Hit the delete button, guys. You're going to need it because all that luggage is going to be useless to you in the days coming.
Yeah, that's getting through the eye of the needle, and I can't stress it more now than ever before. You want to carry drama around. You want to carry the negatives. Oh, woe is me, and the rest of the children in the playground stories pouting and. You know, hey, listen, Santa Claus is coming to town. He's checking his list, and he's checking it twice. That's the long and short of it. And he's going to know who's naughty and nice.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I suppose we can talk about the next few weeks and what's coming down the line. I've been sharing with people a lot of the Mayan videos and presentations dealing with the big upload of consciousness that's coming. So I'd be deleting those files that I was talking about before. Very, very important to prepare oneself, alkalize the body, and possibly do a lot of meditating because the meaning of our lives and the meaning of all our past lives will be restored to us in a matter of minutes as the sun transits the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And you can see it. You can see it as it's charging along, and it will be perfectly in the middle of Sagittarius and Scorpio in the next few weeks, and that will signal the end of a great cycle of necessity. It'll be the 0 point of many, many cycles, not just the precession, but we have been told by all the prophecies, there's not a prophecy that disagrees with what's coming, and what's coming is an upload. an upload of great, intense information which will restore us to our higher consciousness and to our higher being. Unfortunately, many people will not be participating because of their ignorance and because of their not participating and being awake in the consciousness movement and being asleep. It's very, very sad, but let's hope that what comes is not going to be too cruel to them, because they've been caught by all the deception that's been laid in before them by churches, institutions, organisations which profess to help but which are really there for their own interests. And unfortunately people flock to these in their droves. They flock to them. I was driving past the church quarter of our neighbourhood the other day. I think there's the Baptists and the Seventh-day Adventists are all there. The Jehovah's Witnesses are there, and their car parks are full. I don't know what the pedophile priests inside those organisations are talking about in there, but a lot of people go to those churches. But one thing I can guarantee you is that those organisations are protectors of pedophilia. That's all they stand for. That's all that's left. It's the only haven for pedophiles left on this planet is the Christian churches. Nowhere else can they flee and be protected in such a wonderful way as they are. Smooth protecting machine that the churches are these days. Very slick. Very, very slick.
All right, well, good evening and welcome to, Santo got knocked, that's what happened there. Anyway, welcome to Syncretism, Santo Bonacci, a couple hours of having some fun. You're back there, Santo.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Kate.
All right.
No worries.
There must be a delay.
Yeah, there is. I've got Tony and Peter. Everyone's hot on the board now.
Too good. How are you guys?
Hello.
Hi, Peter. Hi, Santo.
Hey, Tony.
How's it going?
Woo! I'm great. How's everyone? Awesome?
Yeah, Kate. Yeah, how you doing? What the hell?
It's still kicking at the can. That's the long and short of it.
Oh, I'll tell you. Yeah, I thought I was going to get a break over the weekend. It never happens. It's like today's been the busiest day I've seen in a little bit. Everybody's beating the brakes off. But it's all right. We're bringing it forward. This has been a very, very huge disclosure week on multiple levels of bringing some continuity of flow on multiple levels.
Beautiful.
So maybe we'll get a little time to talk about some of it. I think I got the onion peeled back to the core now. Found out it was dead rotten in the middle, too. You gotta love it.
Too good. And Tony, yourself?
Yeah, flat out doing, crikey, figuring stuff out, making it all work, and trying to survive in the process, which is the biggest problem of all. But we've all got the same, issue. So yeah, it's all going good. Many revelations, but yeah, cool.
Beautiful. And Kate?
Well, you know me, everything's great. No, it's fine. I'm good. I do a little, touring of Venice and stuff like that, and seeing about St. Mark and Santa Claus and candy canes and Xmas the spot and St. Mark's the spot, stuff like that.
Yeah, you've got to wonder what those Venetians are getting up to in that on that little island of water there, where they think that they can rule the world and do all that stuff, insure the world. All insurance runs out of Venice, all of it.
Yeah.
There's no insurance not underwritten by Venice, that little bit of land that is owned by some very, very rich people that have been profiting from their insurance scams for probably the better part of 600 years now, 700, 800, more.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
Or of handing themselves in after a certain amount of time. So, you know, Kate, these trails that you're on, and I know they're really good ones because you've shared them with me. You know, they've been sort of hiding in the open for a while now, in plain sight.
A little too obvious, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you see what I see? Yeah, I love Christmas. Santa Claus is coming to town. What's that, the Santa Claustrum? What is that again, Santo?
Yeah, this the holy claustrum in the middle of the cerebrum, which produces the fluid, where Santa Claus comes from, the North Pole. The Santa Claustrum.
Yep.
The holy room. And he's going to come a little early this year, is he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think he's bringing some coal this year.
Yeah, we're going to need it.
Yeah, right.
What you guys are talking of tonight?
Well, I think we're all in deep, concerted thought. We're going into introspection tonight, I think.
Exactly. Everything's getting all on that cryptic side, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just giving food for thought. Just like on the bag of chips where it says tear across dotted line. Oh, hey, I got an idea. Let's say you're driving down the road, and what does the solid line mean?
Do not cross.
That's right.
Do not pass. What does the dotted line on the road mean?
You pass, but be careful.
Perfect. So what do you think a dotted line in a contract might mean?
You can pass, but be careful. That's why you need to put it in the damn red box, so we can make sure it's non-negotiable.
Exactly. It's a pass-through to private.
Yep.
So what we're trying to say is all of these lines mean things. The point is, do you understand what they mean?
Right.
And what do they mean?
Well, we're...
Too much fun. We have a car I can bring on if you want.
Sure. Yeah, they can't be bitching about my $120, though.
Nah. People will do it if they want, Peter. No big deal. They'll see the value. They won't. Area code 817-323. Your mic is hot. Have you got a question or comment?
Oh, my mic is hot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there you are. Your mic is hot. Do you have a question or comment?
No, I didn't. I didn't even know I pressed 1, so I apologize.
You didn't. No, I just see. That's the thing with this board. I don't always see whatever comes up, so I just like to make sure I talk with everyone. See, now you're part of the show. Woohoo! I'll put you back on hold.
All right.
All right.